Jesus, my allergies are really acting up today. All right. It's funny. All right. I looked in the mirror. I just knew the spot was really itchy. And it's like, oh, man. All right. Somebody get this guy a Benadryl. Not that I would take one. But you guys get it. You guys get it. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to do what everyone thinks I'm going to do and bash, that industry that you're not allowed to bash because they're so heroic and above reproach. I would never bash the heroes of the medical industry who are so perfect, who are the smartest among us, and a little pissant like me would never question their advice. That would just be irresponsible. Now, wouldn't it? And you know that they're so above reproach because if you dare to question any of their doctrine, then you will be silenced. And you always know that something is true when you get silenced for questioning it because, why else would they have to silence you? It's like, what do you think? That if people started to poke holes into their doctrine, that you might actually see that it's not so true? No. So I would never question the doctrine of the heroes that have been so courageous, seeing all of the corruption, but not speaking out against it. The first responders on the front. All right, let me get TikTok. All right, homeschool. What we call it? Homeschool is the future. Call it something spicy. I don't even know what I want to talk about here, but we're going to riff and we're going to have fun. And we're going to have a good time and we're going to see where it goes. All right, people. Without further ado, we go live in 3, 2, 1. Hello, TikTok. We are here with YouTube, and it is a beautiful day here in the sunny South, and that's not just hyperbole. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and my God, can I smell the morning oils. And that's even with my stuffy nose and my very itchy face. As you see here, I got a little thing going on the side of my eye that I don't feel great about, but you know what? It is what it is. I better eat some honey, deal with my allergies, and get ready to have a good time, because we're about to talk about homeschool, we're about to bash some public school, and we are going to build a better world. If anyone has any questions as they relate to homeschool, as they relate to your children, just let me know. I don't know what that is, Broadbent, but I will look into it. I'll take a screenshot. But yeah, it's my first year here in the South, and being my first year here in the South, it is, my body's getting used to the allergies. But let's talk a little bit about homeschooling, and let's talk about project-based learning and unschooling. I made a video about this morning, and I had done a great consultation with one of the members of my homeschool communities. It's like a gut cleanse. Yeah, I have some things anyway, I don't want to get too graphic, but I'm going to do a cleanse. But, thank you. So, I did a consultation with a member of my homeschool community yesterday. It's just something I do for members of my community when I feel like they could use some assistance, and it's a little bit more complex than just writing back and forth with them. And this was a great mother, 5 children, lives on a homestead, chickens, goats, and very impressive, entrepreneur herself. And she was having a little bit of difficulty getting her children started with unschooling. Now, understand when I say unschooling, everyone has a different definition. Now, for some people, they would say unschooling is you 100%, no matter what, follow the interest of your children, and if there's something they don't want to learn about, then just throw it out. Don't learn about it. Now, me, when I say unschooling, I don't believe in unschooling in that form. I think there are certain things that your children might not want to learn, but it's important that you, as the parent, as the educator, do make sure that they learn. But when I advocate for unschooling, and I say everyone should be doing this, and I mean, if you have children in public school, you should be doing this, let alone homeschool. You should definitely be doing this, right? By the way, if any of you have any questions related to anything I'm talking about, I go back and I'll answer all your questions, so feel free to shoot. But when I talk about unschooling, I'm talking about everyone, to some degree, should be following the interest of their children and using that interest to motivate them naturally and to teach them skills they wouldn't ordinarily learn in the school system or with traditional education, and to get them entrepreneurial experience, right? So an example I gave of this yesterday is I actually made a video about, so your child's interested in art. So what I would do with the child interested in art is I would have them take classes, take courses in drawing. I would have them take courses in graphic design. And then what you do is, so if you want to get them involved in unschooling, but maybe you don't know where to go with it, you kind of implement some project-based learning. Unschooling is the worst term. I like skill schooling or something. Yeah, I mean, it's probably not the best term, but it's what people know it as. So what I suggest for a child, if you don't know what to do, if you don't know how to get them started with that type of unschooling, I would suggest a spider web on my phone. Okay. Welcome to the South. Jesus. Yeah, see it? See the web hanging off me? I would suggest getting them started with some project-based learning. So what you can do is you say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Let's do a project. Let's go to the Five and Below store and let's buy a pair of shoes that cost you $5, right? No big deal. You go to the store, you get a pair of shoes that cost $5, you pick up maybe some acrylic paint. You have your child sit down, and when I say child, this could be a 10, 11, 12-year-old, whatever it is. You have them sit down and actually design with their acrylic paint an original design on the shoes that they bought for $5. So now they make this beautiful design on a white pair of shoes, and then you say, okay, well, you know what you can do? Because this was really beautiful, why don't you make an Instagram page, right? So what you would do is you would have them make an Instagram page and say, all right, you could post a photograph of your white shoes, right? And you could say, okay, well, how do I make my Instagram page beautiful? And you could have them do an internet search and actually do some research on how to make a beautiful Instagram page. So you have them post a picture of their shoes on the Instagram page, and then you say, you know, this is really cool. I think people would like it. Why don't we go get some more shoes and you can make more designs? And you have them make more designs, and you say, all right, well, you know, if you really want your designs to pop, what we can do is, why don't we take a course in photography? And then you could really learn how to stage the photographs, the lighting, the shading, the shadowing, the background, to make your photographs really pop on your Instagram page. And I say, oh, okay. So then you get your daughter a camera and you have them take a course in photography, right? And now they're learning photography, and they're learning Instagram marketing, and they're learning art and designing with acrylic paints, right? You can have them take a course in painting. And with each step in this process, you're actually having them, this project-based learning, you're having them develop more and more skills. And then as they do it, you say, okay, well, you just learned about photography. Now, if you want, we can keep going with the shoe angle. You could learn graphic design, and you could really make your pictures on Instagram pop. We could take videography and you could learn how to make cool videos displaying your shoes. And we could design a website. We could learn web design, right? So look at all these skills that you're teaching with this project-based learning, and then really say, well, which direction do you want to go with it? And really let it become unschooling, right? So it's really all about following the interest of your child. And you could say, okay, well, maybe mom, dad, I've enjoyed doing this shoe thing, but I really don't know if I want to do it. All right, well, we just learned graphic design. We just learned photography. Which one do you like? I really like the photography. That's cool. Now we're going to do a little project-based learning. So you like the photography. We're going to do a research assignment. I want you to do an assignment this week, week-long assignment, and I want you to do research on all the different business things that people do. You can do jobs and businesses, entrepreneurial endeavors that people do with photography. How do I do that, Mom, Dad? Let's go do an internet search. Type in photography plus entrepreneurship, or photography plus types of businesses. And have them do this reading, and they could actually do a project, right? They could do a presentation for you at the end of the week where they present all the different types of photography that people do for business. Love this. Human capital without keeping them within four walls like control. Yeah, it's all about following their interest, using that interest to develop a wide range of skills, right? They could draw, they can paint, they can do Instagram marketing, they can do photography, they can do web design, they can do graphic design, right? All of these skills, videography, all of these skills stemming from this one original project. So when you want to get your child started with that unschooling, give them a project, guide them, and then kind of let them take the reins. So now they decided they didn't want to go that route with the shoes anymore. That's fine. They do this project. They learn about photography, and they learn about different photography businesses, and maybe they're interested in drone photography. Maybe they're interested in Christmas card photography. Maybe they're interested in real estate photography. Maybe they're interested in event photography. Well, how do you get them an event if, right, they're 13 years old? How can you possibly get them an event? I'll tell you how. There's a lot of people who would love to have a volunteer photographer shoot their daughter's prom, right, or their son's prom, whatever. But they don't have the funds to hire someone. So you have your daughter or your son or whoever it is put out some flyers and get a gig doing someone's prom photos for free. And they could show up at the pre-prom. It's usually at someone's house, right? And they could actually take the photographs of all the seniors dressed up in their suits and their dresses and with their parents, all of the pre-prom stuff. And boom, they just got a gig. And they shot an event, someone's prom, right? And all while they're doing this, they could be reading books, taking courses on how to do event photography. And now they have a portfolio. So now you say, okay, you actually shot an event. Let's build a website now. Let's put your portfolio up on the website and teach them the business stuff. Say, actually, go to the people whose prom you shot, have them sign a form saying you can do this, and then you have a little portfolio with your website. And now say, okay, now let's put out more flyers, put your website on it, and offer to shoot people's proms or whatever, an event, at a lower price, right? And there'll be a market for that. And say you can get some gigs doing that, and even go up to the people whose prom you shot and say, hey, we really appreciate you partnering with us to do this. And my 13-year-old is actually looking to do this more full-time, and they're willing to offer you a commission if they get a referral. So they're going to be offering to do events, and this will be their fee. And if you refer them, they'll actually give you a kickback on that, right? And what you're doing is you are teaching your child how to do real business things. You're developing skills, all starting with project-based learning, and ultimately moving on to a form of unschooling where they take the reign in doing what they already are interested in doing. This is a by far superior form of education to what's happening in public school, and this has been, this is what I'm able to coach people on every single day. It is so powerful, and just by understanding the philosophy, you can really take your child's education to another level. And for anyone interested in what I do who wants to work with me, www.classicallearner.com, and my private homeschool community is Homeschools Connected, and it is $10 a month with the promotion code FREEDOM. So let me go back and see what you were saying. My daughter will start homeschooling in this October. I don't know where to start. Well, the first thing is you do not, I repeat, you do not. Do you guys mind if I move into my greenhouse? It's actually a little chillier. A little chillier than I expected out here. I'm going to move into my greenhouse. You do not in any way have to replicate public school. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes that new homeschool parents make is they feel pressure to replicate public school. They feel like they are not doing enough, that they have to sit their child down from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and do math and then science in 45-minute blocks. That is a terrible system of education, which is why the average 18-year-old is incapable of living an independent and free life when they graduate high school, right? I mean, imagine if someone has a child for 15 years, from 3 years old to 18 years old, and after those 15 years, they are still incapable of living an independent, free life. That's not a good education system. So yes, you want to make sure you do the math. You want to make sure you do the science. But with homeschool, you can customize it. So you don't need those 6-7 hours a day of the formal education. Now, you want to make sure you meet regulations. So you can do informal things, but you don't have to sit down every single day for 45 minutes and do rote mathematics, right? When your child is in second grade and they're supposed to be learning addition, if they know addition after 2 weeks, you could take a break from math and focus on other things, right? Because they already know it. Whereas in public school, they'd have to sit there and do the same boring math problems every day for the next 2 months. The opposite is true. If your child is struggling with addition, in public school, they get left behind. It's like, it's time to move on to multiplication. Well, if little Johnny doesn't even know addition, he's not going to get multiplication. He's going to develop an aversive relationship with mathematics, and he's going to hate math the rest of his life and struggle at it. So if your child hasn't mastered addition and it's time to move on to multiplication, no. It's time to keep doing addition until he gets it, right? So you take as much time as he needs. Homeschooling is superior to public schooling in every single way. So those birds behind me, me and my wife just moved our schedules around. We will be homeschooling our kids starting this year. Congratulations, that's a big step forward. And if it doesn't work right away, don't feel too pressured. It's no big deal. One of the best advantages of homeschooling is you have flexibility. So you have to learn your child's learning style, right? My son learns through stories. So Charlotte Mason is the right type of education for my son. He absolutely loves stories. So when we learn math, we'll use the Life of Fred books, right? Charlotte Mason is a style of learning that children learn through these amazing living stories where they're going on all these adventures, but yet they're learning everything you want them to learn. So is your child an auditory learner, a kinesthetic learner? Is your child with touch? Is your child a visual learner? Take the time, get to know the way your child learns, try stuff. If it doesn't work, don't worry about it. Throw it out. Try something else. Customize the education to the needs, the style, the learning style, the preferences of your child, and it goes without saying that it will be a superior education. My 6-year-old is interested in Adobe Illustrator. I'm still learning at 30, so I'm teaching him now. Yeah, and that's the best thing, is that you can learn with him. And Adobe Illustrator is a great program to learn, along with Canva, all types of graphic design. These are great skills, and there are courses on this for children. I don't know the names off the top of my head. I'm not trying to put you behind a paywall. I have them listed in my community. I just, off the top of my head, I forget the name of the courses. Are your books sort of like Tuttle Twins? Yeah, Tuttle Twins, I like their books. They come from a libertarian perspective on the structure of American governance and free market economics. My books are more about familiarizing children with the manners through which they're targeted for manipulation in the world, all while teaching them their rights. So, for example, in Operation Mockingbird and the Church Committee, early in the book, you're shown a close-up scene of a bear being accused of stealing a bike. Well, later in the book, you're shown that very same moment in time, and when you see the whole picture, you see, oh, that's just a narrative. He wasn't stealing a bike. He was walking it into a bicycle repair shop. So children are learning about narrative-based news and things of that nature. Marie and Princess in the house. Melissa in the house. I love Conscious Man. Yeah, Texas crushes with their regulations, or lack thereof. My kids do math every day. They figure out the tip at the restaurant. Well, yeah, that's the thing. And, that's what gets into that informal schooling. A day doesn't go by where I don't do math with my son. But that doesn't mean we sit down and do the formal version of math every day. There's many ways to educate someone. And you can do, especially with, early childhood math, you can do that through everyday living. Thank you. Beautiful background. Yeah, you got the greenhouse here. We've been online learning. Yeah, online learning sucks. Online learning, no, I don't mean to be offensive with that, but online learning, they're basically just like the K through 12 programs took the public school concept and just tried to replicate it over the computer. And it's even more boring because it's like public school, but you're not even around your friends. So it's just, I would definitely look into homeschooling. The homeschool curriculums have been developed over the last 30 years. I mean, they are so much more advanced and comprehensive, and they are vastly superior to public school online. I absolutely love your videos and your streams. Can't express how much I appreciate what you do. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Awesome father. Wow, dude, are you a teacher? Yes, I am a teacher. At least I was. Now I do my own thing. I started my own homeschooling company, and I do teach courses. I currently am teaching a course every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. on the American Revolution and the Bill of Rights. And I have taught courses that are available to anyone who wants to watch them, called Introduction to Propaganda, which is really cool, as well as I'm teaching a course on the media industrial complex and a year-long nature unit study, which is really cool, where children are not only learning about planting seeds and building garden boxes and constructing and building little greenhouses and composting, but they're actually getting entrepreneurial experience with it, so it's really cool. I homeschooled my son. He graduated a year ahead of his public school friends. Yeah, and you see that a lot. A lot of 15-year-olds graduate. You'll see a lot of 15-year-old homeschool children at Harvard. Yes, we do, from farming to homeschooling and everything in between. Is there a program you recommend for homeschooling? Well, obviously my own, but it really depends on the way your child learns. I love The Good and the Beautiful. There's a lot of good programs. It depends on what you want. If you like a classical education, then Classical Conversations is really good. I mean, there's so many good programs. It really just depends on what you want. But yeah, I do like the good and the beautiful. Yeah, I mean, we're for children of all ages. Our nature unit study is for literally K through high school, and it's amazing how you could structure an education so that no matter how old the child is, it works for them. Um, the courses I teach on propaganda and the Bill of Rights are probably for elementary, middle school. My media industrial complex course is for middle school, high school. So, we don't cover everything, but what we do cover is very valuable, and it's definitely for children of all ages. Yeah, you could find homeschool co-ops in Facebook groups, local libraries, zoos. Just call them up and say, hey, call the zoo up and say, are you hosting any homeschool events? And they usually are, because it's good marketing for them. So they say, yes, we are, and then just show up on those days and network. Nature study is all ages, even adults. I love it. Yeah, I mean, we're probably really a gardening community that masquerades as a homeschool community, because like everyone in the community now is growing their own food, and I really just love it because it's creating a culture of freedom. And we as a society need to get to a place where we stop looking to politicians for our freedoms. And the way we do that is, yes, we teach children their rights. Yes, we teach them about the American Revolution. Yes, we teach them how to identify propaganda and about fake news and all of these things that they should be aware of. But ultimately, if they're going to be free, we need to teach them financial literacy, and we need to teach them entrepreneurship, how to start a business. They need to have skills that they're confident in so that they can build businesses around those skills. And they need to have life skills, and they need to know how to cook, and they need to know how to garden, and all of these things that allow a person to actually live a free life that the public school system really completely neglects. I mean, they'll be like, oh, public school totally teaches that. Yeah, we cover one course on that in 15 years. It's like, oh, yeah? Yeah? No, you have to make it a lifestyle. Like, if you want your children to live a free life, you have to establish a culture where they grow up living a free life. And then they won't accept anything less than that as they grow older. What would be my first step into homeschooling out of the school system? So you want to go to hslda.org. That's the Homeschool Legal Defense Association.org. hslda.org, hslda.org, hslda.org. And they have the paperwork that you need to withdraw the children from school. Make sure you do not withdraw the children from school until you get approval from the district. It's very important. Just trust me. And Marine Princess is in the chat. She showed me how important that was. Very wise. So you got to make sure you get the approval and do everything the right way, because they could give you a hard time if you don't. And then from there, you just want to make sure you're familiar with the regulations. So if you go to hslda.org, if you scroll down, you'll see a map of the United States. Click on the map, click on the state that you live, and then boom, you'll get all the information you need. I have done unschooling with my 3 for 3 years. It works great. That's awesome. After filing with who you need to, spend a day learning about the different ways to homeschool. Yeah, so you want to familiarize yourself with, I call it the core 4, which is Charlotte Mason, Montessori, unschooling, classical education. You can learn about each of them in a day. Just do some reading. I mean, there's so much writing about them. Just take a day, do a few hours of reading, and familiarize yourself with each. And of course, there's a ton of books you could read. And once you do that, it'll help you better discover the most appropriate learning style for your child. Like I said, my son, he likes stories, so Charlotte Mason is the appropriate way for him to learn. We love unschooling Charlotte Mason with some road school. Melissa, I hope you got my inbox that I sent you last night. Why like my screen getting so harder to see now? Is the lighting changed? The sun! Jesus is king. Yes, he is. We're gearing up for a camping trip, which is a great way to learn. There's a cool curriculum. Melissa actually pointed me toward those campfire curriculums. I really like them. And then there's also another curriculum based around the Bear Grylls videos, which is pretty cool. But camping's a great way to learn. Yeah, make sure you keep really good records. In fact, when you start homeschooling, before you even start the schooling, just set up your record keeping. It's worth it. Because if anyone tries to give you a hard time in the future, you'll have records that you actually did the schooling. So this is awesome. I was literally talking to my husband about transition yesterday. Yeah, if you have any questions, just come here. You have myself and all the members of our community, which are like Marine Princess, Melissa, or RVing, Melissa Traveling Mom. You have a different name on everything. But these are great members of our homeschool community, and they're just a wealth of knowledge. Yeah, Marine Princess is gearing up. I believe she's going to start the RV type of life, which is a great way to homeschool. I've known so many homeschoolers that get an RV and they actually travel the country and homeschool. And it's so amazing because you could stop at all these different historical sites, all these different museums, all these different zoos. Like there's so much learning you could do on the road. And you have such flexibility. It really is amazing. So many free resources online. Yeah, absolutely. Great free curriculums like ABC Jesus Loves Me. How old are your kids and where do you live? Well, unfortunately, people on the internet like to issue me very serious threats. So I just had a baby in December, but I'm already thinking about homeschooling. Yeah, I don't even think about it. Like if you have a newborn baby, you're already homeschooling. Like even if you send them to public school later on, like when you have a 1 day old, start homeschooling. Like I set that culture. Like people laughed at me at first how young I set that culture. Like my son was like a week old and he sneezed, and I'm like Brady, cover your mouth when you sneeze. And obviously I don't mean it like that, but I was setting a culture in that we're always learning, and that culture is carried on to the point where learning is just something we do, and it's really awesome. So set that culture young. Start reading books as soon as they're 1 week old. Start reading them books. They're little hostages because they can't move yet. So sit there with them and read books and do all that awesome stuff. Do you get federal attendance money? No. I don't think I'd want their money. That's how they control you. Ohio's pretty easy, and they send a formal letter back. That's good. You want to document if you get approval because you just never know. I've been doing RV life for 3 years, and I've learned so much, and my kids have blossomed. Yeah, Melissa actually has a blog, RVing Across America, and she's actually going to start posting her articles within Homeschools Connected, which is really cool. Something I'm pretty excited about because, like I said, a wealth of knowledge. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot more in terms of Christian homeschool resources compared to secular, for sure. And that's the very nature that um, I think secular people are more accepting of the school district teaching certain things that Christians, by their nature, are more uncomfortable with. So the school system for a very long time, I think, at least from a Christian perspective, we would tell you is anti-Christian, anti-religious. So because of that, the Christian community has been developing homeschool materials and very effectively for a long time, whereas the secular community is really catching up, especially the last 2 or 3 years, because things have gotten so out of control with, I mean, I don't even have to get into it, the degeneracy taught in public schools that people are just fed up with it. And even if they're secular now, they're not comfortable with it. But as they're leaving public schools, they're finding that there's a lot more in terms of Christian curriculums. But like Time for Learning, right? That's a very good curriculum. It's secular. I mean, there's a lot of them. If I turn like this, it got so much harder to see the screen. Even watching a movie, we see something interesting, we turn into a short lesson. Yeah, absolutely. And you can do projects based on that movie. You can do you could do research. You could do like a fun research project and say, okay, now let's examine how much of, like, if you watch a historical movie, how much of this was accurate and how much of it was fictitious, right? And you can do research into that. It's like there's so many fun things you can do. Yeah, education and school are definitely not the same. California actually has some of the best homeschooling laws, which is surprising because California's laws suck in virtually every other area. But yeah, they actually have some of the best homeschooling laws. The homeschool freedom is permitted there, so it's quite surprising. I mean, not like Texas. Like Texas is the best, but it's one of the better states in terms of homeschool freedom. I mean, more social groups. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get a lot more Christian-based curriculum in Texas, but you also have to keep in mind, like, if you're getting a Christian-based curriculum, um, you could just review the worksheets and stuff beforehand and omit whatever you're not comfortable with. So it's really not a big deal. My 3-year-old and 7-year-old love reading eggs. Yeah, I actually started using reading eggs after Marine Princess recommended it, and we like it as well. But I mean, if you're looking for a homeschool group, I mean, you're in the right place. Like, we have the best homeschool group on the internet, in my opinion. We have one of the best groups, period, internet. And yes, well, there's no doubt that a lot of our members are Christian, and I myself am Christian. It's certainly not a place where someone who's secular doesn't benefit, and it's certainly not a place where someone who's secular feels uncomfortable. I'm like, yes, now and then in like our group chat, like yesterday, some of the members of our chat were having a conversation about their views on religion. Well, it's just a conversation. Like, you don't have to take part in that conversation. Like, it really is one of the best communities on the net, and it's a great place to learn about homeschooling, education, and just discuss the world in general. Like, one of the reasons I love our community so much is that even though we have people from different worldviews and different perspectives, when there's disagreement, everyone does it. Hey, Lucy, come here, girl. When there's disagreements, everyone does it very respectfully. Oh, I love you. I love you. You're a good girl. Look at this girl. Look at this girl. When there's disagreements, everyone does it very respectfully. And yeah, it's a great place to just talk about the world, talk about life, talking about homeschooling, talk about education. You get access to the courses I teach on the Bill of Rights, propaganda, the media industrial complex, our year-long nature unit study. We have a pen pal program, which is super cool. So yeah, a lot of really cool things going on. Love it. Been doing it for 3 years. So much easier, more organic, and they learn more. We respect everyone on the community and the site. We don't have to always think on the same on every issue. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I've really been like, I'm so like, I had a vision when I started Homeschools Connected, and everyone's so respectful of each other. And like, you're not going to have a community, you're not going to have a community where everyone agrees on everything. And it's nice to have a place on the internet where everyone's not trying to troll everyone, and there's respectful conversations, everyone's learning, and that's what social media should be. And we've built something pretty special, and it really speaks to the character, because it's not anything I did. It just speaks to the character of the people in our community. Like, I hate the trolling. Like, I've grown into, like, weird to say, it's weird, but like a social media influencer, and because of that I have a big following and I get a lot of the trolling. And like, these people, like this culture of people on the internet is disgusting. Like, the way everyone talks to everyone, the way everyone, like, they think they're so smart but they don't listen to anything anyone actually says. It's like, the internet just, it brings out the best in people, but it also brings out the worst in people. And when you get a really big account, like, you start to see, like, man, some of these people are just, and that's why, like, even if when I listen to something I disagree with on the net or something like that, I don't do the trolling behavior. Like, there's a certain way to talk to people that's respectful, and as human beings, like, talk to people as if you were speaking to them in person, right? Like, that's ultimately, I think I'm going to even start trying to build that culture in our community, where I'm going to remind everyone, talk to people how you would talk to them in person. Because the internet just, it created this culture where people are behind keyboards and they're so disrespectful. And our community, it really speaks to the character, how everyone respects one another. And it's been a real blessing. Yeah, even though we don't always agree, people do. The community does a really great job of not being jerks about it, right? And, you know, when you get a community full of people that are very high consciousness, and I think that's why, is people realize that we ourselves have woken up to a lot of the lies in the world, and because of that, it's better to keep an open mind and to always learn things rather than to attack people who see things a little bit differently. And it's a really cool thing. Awesome. Thank you. Any good resources about unschooling? Yeah, I think our community is probably the best unschooling community in the probably on the entire internet. I mean, I'm sure there's other good ones out there. There's so many great homeschool communities. But one of the things we do in our community is we don't just unschool. We actually, like, if we have children who have similar interests, for example, we have three 10 to 12-year-old girls who wanted to start their own clothing lines, essentially. And we actually paired we actually paired their families up so that they could assist each other in unschooling and guiding their children to starting their clothing lines. So it's a really good thing. Everyone in our community does unschooling, and I even coach the members of our community one-on-one on how to do that. So, not to just plug my own stuff, but it really is great for unschooling. But I'm sure there's a lot of good communities out there. I'm not familiar with them, but I'm sure there's a lot of good unschooling communities out there. I know Kali, Kali, who I really respect. I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Kaylee, who I really respect. Kaylee underscore, what is her username? She's the best. She has a homeschool community that she talks up, and she's an absolute legend. She should be a member of my community, but I'll get her in the community. It's just a matter of time. But yeah, there's a lot of people doing some really great stuff. Check out Cubs to Bears. Check out Club Books, kids. Oh, Cubs books. Yes, the Cubs to Bears books. So, all right, let me know if you have any more questions. And if not, I'll call it a day. You can find me at www.classicallearner.com. I've been teaching my little kids about food. Even my 29-year-old was on it. It was so gross what we learned, but awesome to now know. Yeah, I mean, that's what our nature unit study is all about, right? And that's what my book, You Are What You Eat, is about. And my next book that will be coming out, I've been delaying starting with my illustrator because I've been a little nervous with everything going on in the world because she is in Russia, and I've just been a little nervous, and I don't know why, but my instinct tells me that the powers that be are crazy. So, but I don't know. I got to get the next Cubs to Bears book going because it's written, and so we'll see. I actually think I'm going to go into town today and do some stuff related to that. So yeah, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Classical Learner. You can find me Classical Learner on everything. If you're interested in what we do, www.classicallearner.com. Homeschool's connected, and the promotion code FREEDOM under all lowercase, and that is $10 a month. And that's it. So, all right, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Freedom isn't free. We have to earn it every day, and I will undoubtedly be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern to earn it. And now I'm going to give a 10-second runoff where I show you my greenhouse because I believe both of these operate on a delay. So I'll just show you where it's at.